I've been following a rather successful formula for a while now where I just click on a random movie in an 80s movies playlist on YouTube where the thumbnail or the title or usually both catches my eye. And I'll be damned if they haven't all been worth talking about so far. With a title like Tuff, you get all sorts of different pictures in your head upon hearing it, but mainly gangs, I would guess. Now, gangs had a different connotation back in those days, so before we get too wrapped up in like what the title might make you think this movie's about, let's just get right into it. After our credits, which show us the main character, Morgan, weaving through traffic on his bike, we're introduced to Frankie, a sexy, long-haired blonde who is setting up an innocent man for a robbery. Now, after asking him for change, this is like her tried and true tactic. Her boyfriend Nick and his gang who were across the street ambush him, and as the robbery is going down, Morgan comes rolling in on his bike and stops it all from happening. I just now realized that's James Spader, the fucking dude from Stargate. Wow. Now, the gang is pissed as hell about the failed robbery, except for Frankie, who seems infatuated with the guy who just pulled this little stunt off.
Get out of here. Did you get the money? Man, Vicky, shut up for once.
We get a few scenes next of Morgan's home life, showing that he has a decent relationship with his father.
Hey, there you are. First day in a new school. You ready for it?
I always.
I guess.
His mother, we don't know much about right now, but we'll find out later. And Morgan heads off to school, where we get some pretty sweet establishing shots before cutting to the gang, who are still upset about last night.
God, oh God, I swear, I would just love to find that guy from last night, man. I would just like a ticket.
Hey, watch your mouth, scumbag, will you?
And boy, is it their lucky day, it seems, because Morgan has just arrived on campus, and Nick recognizes him.
I think we're going to school.
Sitting in the office getting ready for his admission papers and all that stuff, he's spotted by Robert Downey Jr.? Hot damn!
Mama.
What's up?
Who borrows a switchblade from a chick he knows for an unknown reason as of now, but he's eyeing Morgan with, like, pity. You know, not malice, so something's up. Meeting with the principal, we discover the usual. Morgan's a smart kid, but troubled, yada yada yada. Finally in class, Robert, or Jimmy as he's called in the movie, gives the blade to Morgan with a stern warning.
Here, you can need it.
Why?
Take it. It's all in the school about you and Nick Hauser.
Now, after class, Jimmy invites him to see his band perform that night, attempting to make friends with him, and the sound of a car squealing tires catches everyone's attention when Morgan spots Nick and Frankie riding around on his bike, making a scene.
We're just taking a little test run. You don't mind, do you?
I want to make sure it works, you know?
And in front of everyone, one of his goober friends actually runs over his bike. Damn, props to Morgan, who shows no fear through any of this. Without a word, he simply picks up his bike and heads home, where, while attempting to fix it, he gets a lecture from his mom.
Your bike is in pieces and you tell me nothing happened.
It was an accident.
Who's going to pay for that? Huh?
You know, more of the family's interactions are explored here and throughout the rest of this movie, which shows their strained relationship, which, again, the movie lets us in on, like, bit by bit, so it kind of works.
You might be a little more understanding of her.
Well, Dad, you know, I've been working that my whole life.
Now, later that night, Morgan shows up to see the band, in a stolen Porsche at that, where he meets everyone, including this weird Bowie-looking kid. And spotting Frankie, Morgan makes a move to dance with her. Man, dude goes after what he wants in life.
Go with me!
Not till you tell me what your name is.
It's my business!
Now, as the party rages on, Morgan continues to dance with and try to get to know Frankie when two of Nick's goons spot him. He sends them in to bash him, but they get lost in the crowd looking for him. Eventually getting away from Morgan and making her way to Nick, he orders another girl to take her home, which she does, and it looks like shit's about to go down.
I suggest ice your ass right now.
Why, because I danced with one of your boyfriends?
God, the balls on this dude. Now, thinking they're total badasses, they steal his car. Yeah, you know. And shortly after, they pay the price. Now, the next day at school, Frankie warns him that what he did was stupid, and man, the sexual tension between these two is really starting to heat up here. But then it immediately dies down for Morgan, at least, when he opens his locker and finds a dead rat inside. Ugh. Back at home, we meet his older brother, who is picture perfect and obviously favored by his mother. It's kind of the movie's way of letting us know why he is the way he is. And going for a walk to get away from home, he is quickly spotted by one of Nick's friends, who chases him down in the car. And when he has him trapped up against a fence with nowhere to run, he gets out to beat his ass and, oh shit, it's Jimmy.
How are you?
That little bastard stole the car. That's awesome.
It's been like that, you know? I mean, if I didn't follow my big brother Brian's lead, I was invisible.
Man, the chemistry between these two is freaking marvelous.
My mom wouldn't let me join a gang because Downey got his ass kicked so bad.
You can tell Robert was going to go on to do great things, and James Spader did too, I guess. I don't know. Either way, here in this flick, they're great together. Now, as Frankie and her two friends are having some lunch, they spot Nick's car and hop inside, thinking that he's been released from jail. Moron, just get in the car without even looking first. Speeding off before she can hop out of the car, and the other chick doesn't seem to care because she's crushing on Jimmy, and who wouldn't? The group sneaks into a country club, steals some food, and just generally get into acceptable amounts of trouble, let's say that. It's not really worth going over in depth, but it does add a good bit to the movie, and there's going to be lots of moments like that where minutes are spent on just the kids being kids and getting to know one another through foolish scenarios. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just not worth talking about a whole lot, you know? It's worth watching to see the writing teach you about the characters, not me tell them to you. Now, as I said, though, they steal some food and just derp around the place until an unexpected moment comes when Morgan hops on the piano and plays a love song for Frankie?
Fighting the darkness that breaks our hearts, we hold each other tight.
This has to be a world of difference in what a man can offer her when she compares what Morgan has done in his short time around her to what douchebag Nick has been doing their whole relationship, I'd imagine.
We walk the night, we walk the night.
God, it's a great scene. It really surprised me. It wasn't quite as impactful as Stegman's performance. I mean, what could be? But I don't know. I didn't expect it. It was charming, I'll say that. After being kicked out of the club, the two spend some more alone time together where Morgan has apparently really captured her attention with his act, and now she's not only asking him questions about his personal life, but she's revealing some secrets of her own.
My mom died of cancer last year.
As the night grows longer, the two end up at another club dancing, and hell, even making out at this point. Sometime later, Nick is chewing her out and being an overall asshole as usual, but she's not ready to break it off yet, I guess, because when he puts the moves on her, she doesn't really try to stop him. And the next day in class, some Full Metal Jacket shit is about to go down, and I don't know what's worse. Being beaten by two guys with metal wrapped up in their towels, or being beaten by like 15 guys with soap. Is soap softer in that situation? I don't know. I don't know. Either way, Morgan is cornered by Nick and his friends, and as I said, they beat the shit out of him.
No!
And then later at home, the family drama continues when his dad spots his wounds. There's a great scene here with Morgan's dad really opening up to his son.
Just cut out that self-pitying crap. I don't want you to be Brian, I want you to be you.
Instead of yelling at him, he encourages him and even tries to get him to not be so hard on himself.
What do I do right now?
Right now, you do what you really want to do.
He even keeps Mom off of his back. What a dad.
He's lying down.
What's the matter? Something wrong?
Nothing he can't handle.
I really dig the next scene too, where we see Frankie playing dress up and doing her best to speak as she might be expected to as a girl.
No, really, I'd love to make it for some lobster tonight, but we've been having so much of it at home that I'm afraid it's coming out of our ears, you know?
It just reminds me of Icebox and Little Giants when she's putting on lipstick. Nick is on his way over to see Frankie, and with killer timing, Morgan shows up at her window blasting music before making his way up the stairs to her window.
Oh my God.
Wounds of love, Frankie.
You gotta love this dude's courage.
You know, all I'm asking for is a shot, Frankie.
It's not gonna change anything.
God, he fucking loves her. Now, he invites Frankie over to his house for dinner, and she desperately tries in every way to say no, but with Nick arriving, he gets her to agree just to get his ass out the window, basically.
Can a girl have any privacy around here?
Yeah, but not when we want to celebrate.
Alright, where are Frankie and Nick headed to tonight?
Celebrate?
That's right. It's not every night I get asked for my baby's hand.
Oh.
What?
Oh. Ugh. At school the next day, Jimmy has a new bike for Morgan. A consolation prize, as he calls it, since Frankie is getting married, but Morgan doesn't know and finds out here and now. A good thing Jimmy gave him that bike.
Where are you going? Morgan!
Hey!
Straight to Frankie he goes and is spotted by one of the goons, of course. Now, Frankie arrives at dinner the next night, and things seem to be going alright for the most part, but outside the window, Nick is spying on them, obviously pissed off. And shortly after, his mother screws everything up when she asks Frankie about her mother.
You can bring your mother along, we'll make a day of it. Don't worry about that. It's all right. It's all right. These things happen.
And before she runs off, Morgan attempts to talk to her, but she ain't having it.
You don't belong to Nick.
Well, maybe not. But I don't belong to you either.
As he's known to do, Morgan walks around to calm his mind. And even though he's spotted by Nick, he lets him go for now, instead choosing to go after Frankie.
You're missing your mom again, aren't you?
Oh, you manipulative son of a bitch. Getting in the car, they all drive around for a while until they are low on gas, and seeking a mark, they find one, a taxi driver. God, Nick continues to show what a piece of work he is as he gives her his watch to try and, exchange for cash.
I gave you this watch, Nick. I mean, don't you have any money?
If I did, I wouldn't ask you to trade it.
Damn, Morgan's dad, that was good. I didn't see that coming either. Now, Nick knows this all along, of course, and he calls her on her excuse.
Maybe you should have thought of all that before you became involved in this. Now go out there. Frankie, I said go out there.
Ordering her out of the car, she does what she's told, and she even tries to warn him about it.
Elliot, please listen to me. You gotta go. I don't think you understand. You gotta go.
I'll be damned if Dad ain't got some moves on him. He holds his own against all three of these until Nick, like a pussy, pulls out a gun. Now, wasn't that time that we spent in Morgan's bedroom where his dad had a moment with him all the more impactful now, and I actually give a shit that he got shot? I care. As the gang escape in the car, Frankie stays behind with him, and thankfully, in the next scene, we find him hospitalized, but in stable condition at least. Morgan is right at his dad's bedside, like a good son. Typewriters in the hospital. I know that's how they had to do it, but God, really, God, can you imagine not having computers? Now, as he consoles his mother, his older brother arrives, and Mom just runs right to his perfect ass. I don't even need to explain here anything, right? Frankie arrives feeling utterly awful about everything, and into Morgan's arms she falls, and he doesn't blame her for anything. He loves her. He even dresses some of her wounds after the two leave the hospital. The two really start to bond here and are falling in love with one another, and in a purely meant-to-be moment, they finally get it on. Just pretend I have a watch here and I'm checking it to see how long this has been going on, because goddamn, it just goes on and on and on. Could have just faded out when they laid down. I'd have got the idea. I mean, God, we only got like a quick nipple shot anyway. They didn't show us anything good during the sex. Now, afterwards, when Morgan has dropped her off at her dad's store, she's talking with him about her doubts over Nick, who storms in the place at this exact moment, throwing her and her father all around like the piece of shit he is. I just fucking hate this dude.
Get out of here, Ted!
Now, he forces her to call Morgan so he can talk a bunch of shit, basically.
Nobody takes anything that I own. Nobody.
And he orders him to meet him in 20 minutes at a warehouse for the final confrontation. Grabbing a couple of guns from his room, his brother attempts to stop him under threat even. But under even bigger threat, he gets the hell out of the way.
Get the hell out of my way, Brian.
On his way, Morgan stops by Jimmy's house and leaves a note for him through his brother when he isn't home before he arrives at the warehouse. He quietly makes his way inside where he assesses the situation. We got Nick center stage with Frankie, two goons guarding a downstairs door, and one goon in the loft, so I guess the loft would be the smartest place to start, right? Now Morgan takes out the first guy pretty quietly. And using a large banner as his weapon, he unravels the rope, which, yeah, is conveniently right there on the side he's on, I know. But he drops the damn thing on their heads after baiting them into walking forward a bit. Soon enough, the fight is on. It's a decent back and forth between the two, until his two friends eventually regain consciousness and have him arm in arm with Nick about to blow his brains out. This dude is a nutcase. And while the end is in sight, who should bust in but Jimmy with two huge Dobermans which he sets loose on the gang. He takes a bullet in the leg in the process. That sucks. Two of the goons have scattered, trying to protect their balls from dog bites. And as Morgan and Nick continue to fight, Nick has Morgan on his back, knife to throat, when Frankie pulls the gun on him. All right, Frankie.
I said move back!
Even now, he tries manipulating her, and when he grabs at the gun, she pulls the damn trigger. But unfortunately, there's no bullets left. You know how big of a piece of shit he is by now, so why even bother telling you? He tosses Frankie around a bit more before Morgan is able to gain his footing and throw him around.
He's got a board with a nail in it.
Even you knew that joke was coming. The fight continues with Morgan picking up an axe and swinging it wildly at Nick as he reverses up the stairs. Now eventually the weapon is lost and the fight becomes fair again. One-on-one, man versus man. Love that in these kind of movies, just ass kicking. And after thinking he finally has bested Nick, Morgan turns to check on Frankie. Why they always turn their back in these movies? God, it's so, I hate it. I hate that trope.
Morgan, watch out!
Oh, thank God. I have never been so happy in my life to see someone die in a movie. Should have just ended the movie here, honestly. But no, we get some stupid ass song and dance split with the credits, which I think is utterly ridiculous and should have been left out. We knew they were going to end up together. I don't need to see scenes of them dancing over some crappy song. Most 80s songs and dance things like that in movies are pretty cool from this time. I like this one for some reason. I don't need to be made sure I'm sent home seeing this with an overload of sugar in my blood. There's only so much diabetes I can take. You oversweetened yourself with the end there, movie, but overall, I think you were worth 2 hours of my life. And maybe, just maybe, you'll be worth 2 more hours way in the future when I haven't seen this in a while. Or hell, maybe I'll just watch this.
Nice dress.